How's it going, guys? We've got another episode of WHOIS today, and today we've got Jack McGuire. How are we?
I'm very well, man. I'm excited and a little bit nervous today.
Good start. Right, so we'll just jump straight in. First question of the day is always, who is X person? So obviously yourself. Who's Jack McGuire? What does he do? And like, how did you get into that?
Yeah, so as you know, my name is Jack McGuire. I do marketing. I used to be a chef for 5.5 years ish, in Glasgow, and I kind of started off in marketing through like producing social media content around my chef career, which kind of led me into like an influencer. I don't like calling it that, but like it led me into like an influencer position where I was doing like brand content with like Iron Brew, who else? Deliveroo. What's the peas company? The one that does the frozen peas. Bird's Eye. Yeah. Bird's Eye is another one. So yeah, like loads of brands. So that's what got me into like advertisement and content creation, which led me then into like starting my own content agency, which kind of was aimed at like hospitality brands. Yeah. So for like restaurants, meal prep companies and things like that as well. So it's all like content, marketing, strategy and all that around that. So yeah.
Nice. And like, what kind of like, did you just become a chef just because one of those things you needed a job, or is it like you were intentionally wanting to be a chef from the jump? And where was it that you were a chef at? Yeah,
man. So no, actually. So I went to college for a year. Oh, where to start? So when I was in school, I was 15 when I started working, and so when I was in school, I got a job as a kitchen porter through my dad. My dad knew a chef in a golf club, and that was where I got my first job. While I was there, I went to college to be a joiner, I left school in 4th year. Every boy in Glasgow was just like, yeah, I'm going to go do joinery. Like, that's the one. So I done that for a year, didn't really enjoy it, but I was enjoying working in the kitchen. And although I was only a KP, it was like, I did quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I liked being in the environment, so I was like, I think I'm going to try the chef thing. Left college, doubled down on the chef thing, and then just was like, I'm just going to choose this. I was always quite into like business, so I knew that a business was what I wanted to have.
Yeah.
So when it was, what age would I have been? I would have been like 16 going on 17 when I was making that like transition into like deciding what I want to do.
Yeah.
So when I doubled down on the chef thing, I doubled down on it because I was like, I'm going to learn how to run a restaurant, and then I'm going to open my own business. So opening my own restaurant was on the cards.
Yeah.
One thing led to another. Like I definitely still do want to do that at some point, but with today's economy, bro, that's not happening, man. But yeah, so that's why I got into the chef thing. So,
yeah. And when did you start making content? Because you said like when you were whilst in that process, you were kind of like starting to make content on the back end of it, and then like that kind of built into another different side of things.
Yeah. So I was making content. I started making content when I was 16.
Yeah.
So I was in my first job. I was going through the transition between KP and like prep chef. Like I was still a KP.
Yeah.
And then I was prepping food on the side, and then I was like, you know, trying to learn how to cook and stuff. And then we hit lockdown, and that's when I started making my content. So lockdown hit. I start making content. I'm posting it. I started it on Snapchat. I had a Snapchat story, my private Snapchat story with like, I don't know, 12 people in it or something, just my friends at the time. And I deleted Snapchat. I went through this whole like midlife crisis at 16, and I was like, I'm just gonna delete the app.
Yeah.
And then one of the girls that was in it was like, oh, like you should do it on TikTok. But I was like so scared of. I was so scared of popping off on TikTok because it was just like happening, and I'd had no exposure to like any sort of like audience ever, and so I was like, and I posted one video of me doing like that like woe dance, like the clock one. I can't even remember how you do it, and it got like 1,500 views, and I was like,
I'm clear.
I'm famous. Like that's it, and that was on like a different account anyway. So like when I done the cooking stuff on there, I made a private account. Started posting, and then the same person was like, make it public, like make it public, it might work. And I was like, I don't know if I want it to work. Like I was like, I don't. Lo and behold, man, I was like there making content 4, 5, 6 times a week. I was posting like a video like every day, just me making dinner, and it was like the worst curry you've ever seen. It was like a chicken burger and a morning roll with like I was also so scared of being a white boy cooking and not seasoning food, so it was like everything seasoning in the cupboard was on this chicken breast. It was like the most over seasoned thing you've ever seen. It was like, mate, like see, like going back, like it seemed banging at the time. It was probably horrible. And so like it was like the worst food ever. But anyway, I learned how to make a steak, and I learned how to make apple crumble. I had a friend round and I posted both videos in the same night, and one of them got like 50k views, which I was like, fuck. And then the next one it's now at like nearly 900,000. That's when it like kind of popped for me, and then I went to sleep that night, woke up the next day, I had 13,000 followers. I was like, whoa. Like, I'm famous.
You're like, oh yeah, that's it. I feel like TikTok is such a crazy one because it's like that whole saying it only takes one video. I feel like it's actually so true on TikTok specifically. Like, especially depending on what it is, like once it gets that traction initially, it just goes, and then after that you just see what the results are from there. So, and you said you said you gained 13k followers and stuff, so you must have still been quite young then when, like, let's say for example, like brand deals and stuff or that sort of stuff started coming in. Like, did they kind of look at you funny, or being like, let's say what, maybe 18 or 17 at the time, and maybe they're looking at you being like, oh, what's going on here?
Honestly, no. I think my first brand deal came, I want to say I was still 16, but I think I was maybe like in the transition between 16 and 17, and it was a brand called the Coconut Collab, when they make like yogurts and stuff, like vegan yogurts. Right. Emailed me, like, all professional email and stuff. So I reached out to this one girl. It was the only girl that I knew in like a position that was like, she was in the food space. She had 500,000 followers. Her name's Dishes by Daisy, just to give her a plug, because she helped me out a lot. So thank you so much, Daisy. Lifesaver. So yeah, I was thinking like, how much do I charge? Like, how do I deal with this? What do I do? Like, they'd asked me for one video on TikTok and Instagram, and I said, like, what is it, like 60, 70 pounds, 80 pounds? And then she was like, for your following, like, I had like 80k or something at the time. She was like, charge no less than £500. I was like, £500? I was like, I'm rich. I was
like, 16-year-old.
I don't even think I'd been paid £500 from my job. I was still on like £5 an hour. Like, I was grafting, but I think I would have been making more than that a month, but I would have been like grafting 7 days a week for that.
Just to get
like money like that. So mad. When she came through with that number, I swear like my heart like fell out of my body, mate. And I was like, this is crazy. So yeah, ended up going back. Oh no, I would have been 17 at the time. Yeah. Okay, I would have been 17 at the time because me and my pals from school were planning our lads' holiday to Zante.
Okay, yeah.
And this is what paid for that lads' holiday. So that was my first touch of like, I'm gonna be rich.
Money.
I was like, I'm gonna be rich. I was like, they've just paid for my entire week in Zante. And I was absolutely buzzing. I was like, I basically just got a holiday to Greece for free. Like, so yeah, that was that. So yeah, a lot of fun. So yeah, that was pretty mad. And then I got another collab after that, which I priced them. I think I sent them the exact same email and changed the name on it, and then like copy and pasted it. And it was funny because they were like, these brands weren't even like pushing back on the price. So I thought £500, wow, that's a lot of money. No one pushed back on the price. They were like, yeah, cool, let's do it. We'll send you over a brief. Can you have this by the 22nd? And I'm like, and it'd be like the 16th, and I'm like, yeah, I can have it by tomorrow. Like, it's fine.
I'll do it.
Like, you pay me £500, I'll have it now. So yeah, like no one was pushing back on the price. And I'm trying to think who the second client was, because it was a coconut collab and there was another one. Oh, Lee Kum Kee. So they do like all the Asian sauces. I can't remember if it's Chinese or not, but yeah, a sauce brand anyway, and it was really cool. And then I don't know who was after that, but then like my brand deal after that, I priced slightly higher. I think I went up to like 650. No one pushing back, and then I just went up again and I was 800. No one's pushing back. Like some smaller brands were pushing back, and then like it got to a point, it definitely gave me an ego. And it got to a point where like if brands would contact me, and then I would give them a price and they'd be like, that's too high, and I'd be like, cool,
I'll see that then.
So like, I'm 17. I'm like yeah, that's cool, get out, jump in. So it definitely, and like having an ego for me, like, which I've learnt now, being in like a business space, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, not at all.
I could have £500 more in my bank account right now if I didn't have an ego, but live and learn. But yeah, so that was that. Was just getting like loads of brand deals, was living the dream. I was working as a chef at the time, and so the money in chefing isn't that great. Now, when I was doing this, I had like relatively consistent income from it. So I passed my driving test and I got my first car. I got myself an 18-plate Corsa, which was costing me like £200 a month. My insurance was like £1,200 for the year, and I was just like paying this. Like I was like £1,200 like gone. £200 for the car a month gone.
Cash.
Like I was just spending, and I thought, don't get me wrong, I saved quite a lot of my money, but I was spending. And then, like, as well, I ended up crashing that car.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah, but then when the car that I've got now came after that, I've now got a Fiesta. I started driving a Fiesta, and I've had it for like 3 years. And when the car came after that, I was like, my insurance was obviously a lot higher, and it was like, I don't even know if I want to say the amount because I got it cheaper. But like, so anyway, this whole amount, which was like mad, and I was just like, transferred, paid the money, like
cash,
thousands of pounds. And I was like spending all my money, like spending all my savings, just so I could drive because I loved it at the time. Biggest regret of my life. I wish I'd taken a year off driving, but like, at the time I couldn't because I was working, and I was working in Shawlands at the time at Piatto 44, and so like getting there was a nightmare. There was one train that got me there in time. Like in the morning, it was like 6:30 a.m. I had to get the train to get into Shawlands and in for 7 to start, but then they ended up actually stopping that train around about the same time that I crashed my car, so I was like, I'm not going to be able to work. So that was that. But yeah, that's kind of what got me into like the brand stuff.
And so are you still quite active with the like chef content side of things? Like, is that something that you still kind of want to pursue, or is that more kind of back what you did in the day and you're kind of just moving away from that now? Yeah,
I'm kind of moving away from it now. I think there's so many brilliant people doing content, and I think I've had my time in that space, and I really enjoyed it when I was doing it, and I still dabble in it here and there. Like I do some like brand deals here and there. I've got one coming up actually, and like, you know, I'll maybe post, but I don't really do it anymore, and I don't really think I want to go back to it either, because see, when it was doing really well, it like peaked and then it came down. When it came down, like mentally I took a hit. Like I was like, what do you mean, why is it not doing well anymore? And then I was like, and then I'd like bought all this camera gear, which was a blessing in disguise because it led me on to my next point. But like bought all this camera gear, I was like, right, I'm going to start doing it differently, like cameras, audio, lighting. I'd turn my kitchen into like an actual studio to record, and the views were still low. And I was like, how is this working? Like I'm spending all my money on this, and nothing was coming through. And it was like very, very stressful because I'm also working full time, but I don't want to be. I was like, I wanted to double down on that, and then when it started failing, it was like tough. And then I ended up patching it, and then just like continuing to just double down on like just being a chef and like focusing more on like my like business side, like my skills and stuff. So yeah, I don't really think I'd go back to it just because I want to pursue different things now in my life, but I wish if I had the knowledge I have now.
Back then
I would still be doing it now, and I think it would be working.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean? So
I feel that's the thing with content, like even me, something I'm trying to get into, and it's something I'm trying to push quite a bit, but it's just like, I get what you mean about the sense where it's like, bro, like there's days where you put so much work and so much content, and it still feels like it's not really taking you anywhere. You know what I'm trying to say? It feels almost like you're kind of just like throwing stuff at a wall and just praying that it will stick. You know what I'm trying to say? So, I know the struggle, and especially if it's like, I don't really necessarily do that for my job per se, but see if you are doing that for your job, I feel like that would be even worse. Than it's like, imagine your bills and all your rent and stuff rely on your content doing well. You know what I'm trying to say? Then ends up just being a case of like, right, I gotta make this work whether I like it or not. Whether it's switching up the content, whether it's switching up the angle, switching up how you're doing it, how you're filming it, so on and so forth. So I can see why someone would say, you know what, let me just go do something else. I'll just figure something else out instead. So then, okay, so you kind of moved away from that. So what did you jump into then after you'd finished with the chef content side of things?
So I did double down on like being a chef for a while. I got a new job. So I left Piatto 44. And I ended up I got my first job like in town, so that was in 63rd and 1st when it was still there. Shut down now. It's now the Noble. But so I went to 63rd and 1st because that was going to be like my proper chefing job. Like in Piatto. So I'd basically transitioned from the golf club being a KP / prep chef / waiter. I was just doing everything. And then I went to Piatto, and they were like, because I was still so new and like fresh into the industry, they were like, we'll start you as a KP / prep chef, and then you can work your way up. And then I left the KP side and I was just a chef now. And then, but it was, when I went into it, it was massive for me. And then I'd been there for like a year and a half. I knew how to like make everything. I knew how to run the shop. I knew how to like deal with like issues if they came up and stuff. And I was like, I think I'm ready for something new. So then when I seen that job application, and that was going to be my first restaurant job in the city as well, I was like, this is a big deal. So yeah, ended up there in 63rd and was there for... Oh, how long was it there? I think I was there for just over a year.
Yeah.
Not important, but yeah, I was there for just over a year, and I kind of just doubled down on that, like staying consistent with that. But then when it was coming to like the end of my time in 63rd, I had started getting back into social media.
Yeah.
And I'd obviously bought all like the camera stuff, and I was still doing my social media stuff, but it wasn't really working that well. Given, I'd say that I think it was around that same time I was doing my deals with Iron Brew.
Yeah.
When I was in Piatto, that was my big one that I was trying to remember the name of. Heinz was my biggest one,
Heinz, right.
alongside Iron Brew. So Heinz was massive. I was 17 when I got my Heinz collaboration. 17. I got not flown, like it was a train to go down to London, to go to their HQ in the Shard, and like I was like 50. I remember it, man, like 52nd floor in the Shard in London. I was like, I'm 17, and I was like, crazy, I'm gone clear. My auntie lives just outside of London, so I went and stayed with her when I was there. But you know, that way I just felt like everything was working out when I got that collab, and I was like, Heinz is massive.
Like you can't, doesn't really get much better than that, really.
Yeah, exactly. But it did, because I've got Iron Brew.
Yeah, true.
So, because Iron Brew was actually the one that I wanted the most.
Right, okay.
Like I was like, I want Iron Brew. Which is a funny story of how I got that. But anyway, so yeah, I was doubling down on becoming a better chef, doubling down on like making higher quality content, and then I thought I'll start putting my camera and stuff into good use. So I started doing content for completely free for 63rd and First.
Yeah. So
I was like, absolutely nothing, like, won't charge yous, let me take control of the Instagram and I'll create all the content for it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, started managing their Instagram, doing videos, doing photos, like trying to get myself like work so that I could just do it. Because I was like, I think I actually want to kind of do this for brands. Like, and by brands I meant restaurants and stuff like that. So I was like, 63rd and First, quite a big restaurant, it's in town. I was like, this is a good portfolio for me, so I was like, I'll do it for free. And then I ended up doing it for free, but they ended up starting to pay me for the hours that I would do. So they wouldn't package me for it, but they were paying me like extra hours to come in. So I was like, I'm getting paid for it, I'm doing it, like I'm getting work. It was portfolio for me to put on my new business, which was 333 Media. And then started doing that. And I was just like doing loads of work for free for people just so I could get the portfolio. And at the time I was new into business and I wanted to be in every industry. So I was like restaurants, cars, like sports, like anything I could. Which, you know, I still think it was good because I got experience in loads of different places and I was able to use my camera equipment so that I could, you know, actually like get portfolio. But yeah, it was good. That all went really well. I left 63rd and First. That kind of burned a few bridges when I left that job. That was quite a harsh leave because it kind of all fell apart after that.
Is it like the restaurant or like your particular role? Or Bevo?
The team, so at the time, so I had a chef, like the executive chef. We had an executive chef and we had like an executive manager, if you will, right? So she was mostly front of house and he was obviously back of house. And then he got, not fired, he left, but it was because of an issue with like the higher up team. It was actually owned by another massive restaurant chain, and he had like a big thing with them. They weren't willing to like pay him something or something like that. Anyway, he left, which then the rest of the team kind of followed, and I was one of them. And that kind of burnt bridges with like the other people in the team. And then everyone at 63rd and First hated me. That still worked there anyway, like the managers and stuff like that. Hundreds of my pals still work there. Like I was going in and I was getting like free drinks and stuff. And I'll tell you that because it's no longer there. Like I would go in and they wouldn't charge me for cocktails. I'd go in, get drunk, pay nothing, walk out the door. knowing full well that all the managers would hate me.
They're just staring at you.
They're just staring at me, and my pals would just be like, like he's paid. They would just comp everything. Fair. Yeah, it was. I was pretty much living the dream at that point. But yeah, then I went to Gaucho, and I worked there for about a year. I'm pretty sure it was about a year, maybe just over. But yeah, that was a really good job, and I'm still really good friends with everyone there. I still go in, like it's mostly a new team now, but I go in and like I'll do work, I'll have meetings there, so it's really good. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. So yeah.
And so at this point, you said you started like 333 Media, right? So what was the sort of stuff that you're doing? You obviously you delved into everything, but did you end up niching down, or is that kind of something you said, you know what, let me just keep my options open, just do what kind of comes to me? So the plan was, so at the time, you said you started like 333 Media, right? So what was the sort of stuff that you're doing? You obviously you delved into everything, but did you end up niching down, or is that kind of something you said, you know what, let me just keep my options open, just do what kind of comes to me? So the plan was,
Yeah, so the plan was always to have hospitality in restaurants as my main thing.
Yeah.
And my USP was I've been a chef for like 5 years, 5.5 years, and I was like, I know how a restaurant works.
Yeah.
So I know how to market your restaurant. And obviously I've done loads of like studying and research on like how to market a restaurant and stuff like that. But I know how a restaurant runs in the back end and I know how it runs on the front end. So I can come in essentially just I know everything already. You don't need to like
train me on that.
Yeah, like train me in on like no, but like the chefs can't do this because this is why, and I'm like, I've been a chef and I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. And then I still wanted to like involve myself in everything. So I still wanted to get involved in like automotive. I wanted to get involved in like sports, clothing brands, everything like that. And I did. And I don't think it damaged my brand, but I've had clients in every sector, and I'm like, and it's only been recently that I've niched it down to just hospitality.
Yeah.
So, and I think that helps because now all my brands, all my clients now are hospitality clients.
Right. Okay.
And I can just like anything else, like automotive stuff. Like I was out last night doing an automotive shoot, and that's just like, you know, I can still do that. But my brand face is I specialise in hospitality, so I'm hospitality management and content and stuff like that, marketing. So. Yeah, I've niched down recently, which I think really helps because it also allows me to just have my brain in one space.
Yeah.
So like I can, because my agency is one person and that's me.
Yeah.
Though I have merged with another agency now.
Yeah.
It's essentially still just me. So like, I can now just focus fully on
like one side of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even me like when I first started, similar to you, I was kind of just like doing a bit of everything. Like if I was a videographer or a photographer or just anyone in that sort of space, you kind of have to just try everything. Yeah. Just kind of see what tickles your fancy. But I kind of got to the point where I was like, same as you, there was only a few things that I niched and I said, you know what, actually, these are the things I actually really enjoy doing. That also kind of makes sense from a business perspective. So I think for me, it was like clothing and music, but now not so much music, but more just clothing and fashion. Yeah. That's kind of where my angle is. So, yeah, no, 100%. I think as well, like, one thing I find as a videographer is that, like, see when you're doing stuff with clients, do you feel like a lot of it starts to trickle into more marketing as well as just the actual videography side of things? Because I've noticed that a lot of clients have come to me lately. Let's say maybe I'll do a shoot with them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, the shoot was good. I'm happy with the content." So, what do you actually offer stuff on top of the content as well? So, let's say, for example, you run our socials or you run our e-commerce or that sort of thing. Like I had a retainer with a client last year, and a lot of the stuff that we were doing was e-commerce stuff. Okay. So stuff like creating creatives for like the Facebook ads, creating creatives for the Google stuff and that sort of like SEO and so on and so forth. Is that something that you found that you've kind of moved into recently or anything, or is something that's kind of become more of a prevalent thing? Yeah.
So I ended up kind of doing the same thing. So I had a couple of clients that have been like e-com clients. And marketing is definitely, as I've moved from like chef into content creation and then into like content marketing, I'm now kind of finding that I have a lot more passion and interest in the actual marketing side of things. So I like strategy. I like sitting thinking about things. I'm quite creative, and hence why I like being in all these creative positions. But I feel like sitting and coming up with campaigns and stuff like that is still tickling into the creative, the creative side for me. So I've recently kind of taken into a new position in the marketing side that's more focused on e-com, like you said, which is really, it's a big step for me because I've been wanting to get into that space. I'm kind of moving towards more like for the content, you know yourself, like if you're a videographer, photographer, content creator, you need to be there for your clients. Whereas I kind of want to be remote. So my plan's actually to move to Spain next year. So I want to be remote, and that means kind of either hiring a team to manage and then me manage remotely to do like the content creation here. Or closing it all together, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to close it all together because I still have the passion for like the content marketing and stuff like that. So hence why I've kind of merged with this other agency and we're kind of splitting the work now, which is really good. And it allows me to, again, like it's niching down further. Like it's allowing me to niche down into just strategy and marketing so that I can provide better quality strategy, better quality like creatives and stuff like that for the clients. And then this other agency that I've merged with, they can focus solely on producing better visuals and better actual content on the front end. So it basically just like kind of secures the package a bit more so that we can provide a more valuable package at the end of the day.
More well-rounded,
Yeah, more well-rounded. We've got someone for everything. It's not just one man does all, because I think that's been quite damaging as well. Like, offering loads of different services and being like, yeah, I can do this. Oh, I can also do that. Yeah, I can also do that. Like, realistically, like, if you've got one person that's just, like, one videographer who's just good at that, photographer who's just good at that, someone that's on marketing strategy is just on that, someone that's on paid ads, because I can do that as well. But it's like, see, like, saying, I think it's more damaging to be able to say that you can do so much than you can do less. I think I would rather tell people that I can just do less.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think especially, like, unless you can actually keep up with that workload, like, let's say, for example, like, you've got AI tools that maybe help you with some of the stuff that you might not be able to get yourself. Doing it as one-man band is almost near impossible, depending on how much work you have to do. Like, let's say, for example, like, if you're doing video and marketing, that in itself is that's already like a week's worth of work. Let's say, for example, like, for 2-3 clients, that's already like a week's worth of work. So imagine now you start adding in, like, stuff that you actually physically have to be there in person for, other stuff on top of that. Let's say, I don't know, like, you now start, like, audio production, for argument's sake. Now you're looking at a whole, like, 3-4 weeks for these same 3 clients, and it's like, they'll want that quicker than that. Yeah. So you need to scale with your clients as much as you can also provide those services as well.
100%.
So,
that also plays into, like, I've dealt with this quite a bit. I say quite a bit. I'm not, but I've dealt with this, and it's like it plays into the burnout side as well. So, like, learning how to create amazing visuals on video, amazing photos, be good at marketing, now be able to do paid ads. I can do email marketing as well, and it's like, see, try to learn and juggle all these things, and like, it really leads to burnout, and it's the worst, because it just, like, stops you in your tracks, you know. And, like, I just think it's niching down is better all round. So if you can provide more value, you can charge more, you're doing less, you're putting less strain on your machine, which is you, and, like, you can consistently get it done without having to do all these things, do them at a lesser standard, do them in longer periods of time, and then every so often you have to deal with burnout as well.
Yeah, you just tie the end of
it. It gets to a point where it's like your package is useless, because it takes you so much time to get the work done, because you're the one trying to do everything. You make no time for you as well, like, you know, no time for lifestyle. Like,
you mentioned a bit about, like, wanting to move to Spain. How come you want to move to Spain, and why Spain?
I hate the UK, to be fair. Like, I will say that. Like, I don't enjoy it here. I don't know. I just think it's very grey.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's very grey, and I don't know if I'm overreacting here, but, like, for the amount of and what I want to achieve, I feel very demotivated here.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like it's controversial.
Nah, you go.
I feel like a lot of the people here can be quite lazy.
Yeah. Okay.
And don't get me wrong, like, I don't surround myself with people like that. Like I'm talking, but I know that the UK is full of people like that. Everywhere is full of people like that. But the UK is a very easy country to live in.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, you can get away doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, and you're still kind of
and you're still, like, up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine. So, but I do feel like it's quite grey. There's obviously places that are lovely in the UK, and, like, I've had a brilliant upbringing. Like, I'm from East Kilbride, so I've had a brilliant upbringing. Like, being outdoors, it's a clean place. I've never really been around much danger, like, things like that. So, like, I appreciate from where I am for that sense. But Spain, for me, I think Spain's just, like, where I see myself. It's where I see my next step anyway. I love the language, I love the food, I love the music. It's very, like, I don't know, it's just like, see, if I compare the thought of both, it's like Spain's full of colour for me. And, like, that's where, like, my happiness lies. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I also just want to experience, like, a different lifestyle. I think the lifestyle there is more for me, but, like, I want to experience different lifestyles. I don't want to get to, like, you know, my retirement age, or, like, you know, I've got kids and I'm, like, raising them in the same place I grew up, and I've not actually experienced anything else. That's not a place that I want to be in. And so I'm like, I want to experience things when I'm young, and I don't just mean in, like, a travel way. Like, I want to actually go live a lifestyle that's like different to my own stuff, like, culture. I'm so, like, being a chef, and I'm referring back to the chef thing, but being a chef, I've worked with people from, like, all over the world. And the thing that I loved about it is, like, I get to meet people from all over. So like I would be working in a restaurant in Glasgow and no one is from the same place.
Yeah.
I've actually not worked with that many Scottish chefs.
Have you not now?
Nah, like that's a funny thing. I've only ever been a chef in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And I've never really worked with that many Scottish chefs. I've worked with loads of chefs from Spain, Portugal, Colombia, where else? Poland, a massive one, Ukraine, Turkey, Italy. Where else? Loads, like loads. Like places in Africa as well. Americans, like all over, and it's just they've all got different stories of like their country, how they grew up, what lifestyles like there, and I think it's always been a massive interest for me. And so I'm like, and then Spain just stuck out the most to me, and like as I say, like I'm learning the language. I love the language. I love the way it sounds. I love the way that like they communicate. The music is mental for me. I'm right in and about like Spanish music, so it's like not even just Spain, but like I love like flamenco from Spain, but then I also love like salsa music and reggaeton as well. So you know, I've just kind of
have an affinity towards it.
Yeah. I found like a passion for like that kind of niche.
Yeah. So I feel like as someone who's been to Spain a couple of times, I can definitely resonate with that in the sense that like it just feels like you said, there's a bit more color. It just feels like there's a lot more happening, and just it's weird because it's like it feels like there's a lot more happening in terms of like culture, but the work also seems very like chill, very bit more like you work, but you also don't live to work. Yeah, and I think that's similar to how you're saying about the UK. I think that's my biggest problem with the UK is that it feels like you spend so much of your life just working, and that's pretty much the only thing there is to do here. There's not really anything else besides you go do your 9 to 5 or you go start your business or whatever, make your money, get taxed about half of it anyway, and then that's kind of that's life. You go outside, maybe have a drink with your friends, go do something with the missus, but it doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel I don't wake up and think, oh yes mate, can't wait to go chill in the grey skies and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Again,
tax is a massive thing, so don't get me wrong, the tax in Spain is actually a few percent more than the UK. I think there's a new tax law that's been brought in now as well, which is like 67% in the UK for over 125,000. Don't quote me, I might be wrong, but I heard something about this. It was a rumour, but I don't have a problem paying tax. Yeah, to be honest, like it's annoying. Like you get taxed a lot of money, and obviously with my ambitions and stuff like that, I'll be in like maximum tax bracket. As soon as I possibly can. Yeah, but it's like I don't mind paying a big chunk of my money to a government or a council or whatever it may be if I'm enjoying the place that I'm in. But like if I'm paying 45% tax, now I'm not in that tax bracket right now, but if I'm paying 45% tax on my money to live here, like
it needs to be going to a good place.
Yeah, like imagine you go onto Airbnb and you're like, you see this Airbnb and it's like $2,000 a night. Yeah, and it's bogging. That's essentially how that's how I see like paying that much tax to live in Scotland or Glasgow anyway. Yeah. So you know, I'm just like, I don't really want that.
I get you. And I think you mean not to long it, because obviously I talk about this on the podcast again every single episode. But I don't know, like it just feels like to me as well, if you're in your 20s, especially in this economy, for most people, regardless of what it is you do, you're probably better off somewhere else. Yeah. I'll be honest. Like, and I used to think it was just maybe just me as a business owner, or maybe just like you yourself, like as a freelancer or a business owner as well, or even like I thought maybe 9 to 5 might be better off here. But even when I speak to my friends who are 9 to 5, they're also like, to be honest, not worth it. It's still not worth it, even in 9 to 5. Even if you have something that's like quote unquote a bit more stable, a bit more recurring, a bit more traditional. Yeah, they're still like, to be honest, I'm doing all this work. I'm working 5 days a week, getting paid like 28 grand for it, and I'm working like a dog. And then like I go somewhere else, and even if I'm getting 28 grand, it's still not this money that maybe they want to. But at least the lifestyle will be different. At least they can enjoy the fruit of their labor a bit more, and they can just maybe even just do some more stuff that's actually a bit more enjoyable. Yeah, that's worthwhile that tax, I guess, or something.
Do you know? I've got like, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, right. So what do I not enjoy about the UK? And I'm thinking like the weather's constantly bad, things are grey, tax is mad. Like for where I'm living. As like I don't really like how, as I said, like I feel like a lot of the people in the UK can be quite lazy and things like that. And I'm like, see, all the things that I'm talking about in the UK aren't things that money will fix. Yeah. So like, see if you gave me like a massive salary every month. Let's say I'm making like $1 million a year, right? And that's not even that massive, to be fair. But let's say I'm making $1 million a year. Like in the grand scheme of things, like there's people like that own like small businesses that will make $1 million a year.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So it's like, let's say like for example, I'm making $1 million a year, and I drive a Rolls Royce or like a Lamborghini. Let's say a Lamborghini, and it's like low to the ground, and then
a big mansion.
I've got a big mansion, but like, see, all those things aren't like, I like cars, but that's just a car. My Fiesta gets me to the same places, maybe not as quickly, but as a Lamborghini would. My house that I live in now is going to have 4 walls and a roof, and so whether it's bigger or whether it's smaller, and like, it's everything that I don't enjoy about the UK are not things that money will bring me.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like things that a new environment will, and that's why I want to leave. Do you know what I mean?
Because I had this conversation with my old flatmate, and he was saying that like, I was talking about me leaving. He was saying that like, do you not feel like it's maybe just about the city that you're in? And while that's true, I think there's more opportunities in other cities in the UK. Like you said, you can't fix the problems that I personally have with the UK with money. Even if I was in London, all those opportunities are coming my way, and I was making 500 grand a year, like you said, $1 million grand. Whoa. Okay, maybe I'd be a lot more happy.
All right, yeah.
Maybe I'd be a bit more.
That's a little bit different. I can pay the sun to come out.
Yeah. So imagine, right? Okay, cool. I bought my Urus 250k car. I want to drive it to central London. I can't. Or I can. It'll just take me twice as long as the tube.
Yeah.
Cool. Fine. Take the car out. I want to live in a nice apartment in central London. 10 million. 5 million. Bro, do you know what 5 million can buy me? You know what I'm saying? But I'll spend 5 million on something that's like a shoebox. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so clearly having money won't solve these issues. I don't even necessarily even care about having a big house or having the craziest car in the world. I just want to be able to wake up and enjoy doing what I'm doing in an environment where I enjoy doing what I'm doing. And I can't really see that in the UK for me personally.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everyone, but even I'd argue that most people, again, wouldn't really be content with the lifestyle here, even if they were rich, even if they had all the money and all the resources in the world. Yeah. So I'm totally with you there. We'll take a slight tangent off that, but let's say, okay, someone saw what you do right now and they wanted to get into that. What sort of like things would you advise them to do? Or what's like the one core thing you say, right, if you do this, everything else kind of just fall into place almost?
The biggest thing that's put me anywhere in like my career, whether it was chef,